Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all so, and I hope you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously. Oh, my juice little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yes, they are, aren't they, my delicious little babies now then? They're awfully heavy around my neck, you know. Right, keep the Kodak. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So the time is 25 to 1 in the afternoon on the 20th of February 2026. My delicious little babies. Now then, so what have I got for you today? Right, okay. So the first one, my delicious little babies, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest. Oh, and I hope that wherever you are in the world, that life is treating you most deliciously. Got a very grey sky. It's been drizzling and it's rather cold. Okay, some have been saying that there's going to be snow and others not. Okay, my delicious little babies. Nothing more has happened. No more. Sorry. Stumbled there. No more drains being lids being pulled out. So all there we are has obviously gone quiet at the moment. My delicious little babies. Now then, must be something. There we are that I said. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then. So the first one, this has not came up on my feed. In fact, none of these have came up on my feed, my delicious little babies today. This is called Fire in the Sky. Okay, Fire in the Sky. It's nearly 2 hours long and it is a drama which goes back to 2013, my delicious little babies. Something just said, do not scroll past it, Carla, just write it down. So there we are. So that is what I've done. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, I'll get to the last one. Right, okay, so the next one, my delicious little babies, this uploader happens to have 1.93 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies, and this one's called, it's all in capital letters, Jessie, so I'll spell that for you, Jesse space Faith. So it's capital Faith. Jessie space Faith. That's the upload of my delicious little babies. And with anybody not in that way, not in that way. This video here, my delicious little babies, I think it's about just over 16 minutes long. Can you hear my beautiful little washer? She's on the spin. Okay, my delicious little babies, and the video should read, the painful realities Somali face after deportation. Okay, my delicious little babies, so I'm just going to repeat that again for you. The painful realities Somali face after deportation. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay, so what is this about briefly? Okay, because Fire in the Sky, I personally, unless I can try and recall this. They call it a drama, don't they? They sort of change things. You know, at one time it was always called a film, wasn't it? My delicious little babies, anyway. But these days it's classed as adventure and, you know, whatever else you want to call this. In that case, it is a drama. So what this is about is Somalians from born in the USA who have had to go back to their own country, my delicious little babies. Well, I've said before, okay, I mean, basically, there we are. Every story is different, you know. Well, every reality is different, my delicious little babies, okay. And from what I could see from the odd video here and there, you know, what I feel that some Americans, this is just from an outsider looking in, my delicious little babies, from what I could see from some Americans, I feel that what was cheesing them off and peeing them off was for the fact that, you know, you're criticising the country that you're living in, but when you get deported, you're not feeling too super duper deliciously happy. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? You do have some cases where this is a genuine case, okay, my delicious little babies, but, you know, it's like I said, I mean, if everybody, there we are, was just to leave everybody else's, there we are, countries alone, we know who the instigators are, there we are, and where the problem lies, Martin babies. If everybody was just to do that, I truly feel that everybody in the world, there we are, would just get on and just get along with what they're doing, okay? Not troubling anybody, getting on with their own business, no problem. Okay, Martin babies, but this woman, bless her, not in that way, not in that way. She said at the end, and it is very true actually, okay? I do not need to watch any videos to know this. It's ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense. That because we've got an internet, okay, and we have a social media that is, shall we say, sometimes, babies, it can be rather cruel. There we are, it can be, okay? And, the world that we live in, well, it appears that, well, there's many who have different views on different situations, babies. For myself, I have different views on situations, okay? If I believe that, somebody has come from a different country, regardless of what nationality, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, okay? And they're going to different countries and say if they commit a crime, well, they should be sent straight back. There we are, to their countries. Okay, man's babies. So that doesn't mean no. I just, there we are, believe in that. Okay, as I'm sure that probably, if we had to say about probably 85%, there we are, would say the same thing. Okay, man's babies, because if we're not going to other countries, whatever country it may be that we live in, and we're not going to the countries creating these problems, then really trouble shouldn't come on our doorstep, should it? It's ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense. But what your woman here was talking about, bless her, is that what she's saying is that, one should really spare a thought, there we are, for the things that they put sometimes, babies, that's, not her exact words, it's just along those lines. And there we are. And I do totally agree. I mean, I know that we've all had a few flipping vex and angry moments, Martin babies. Of course, everybody has, where they want to air their views, okay? But we have to go back, there we are, to many, many, many decades ago, and to what has, I feel, there we are, caused these problems in the first place, Martin babies, okay? And I was reading just some of the comments, not a lot, babies, okay? And yes, it can be a rather, there we are, shall we say, heated discussion, shall we say, okay? But somebody had put a comment, and again, it's ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense. Now, some of the countries, yes, to us in the Western world, okay, these are my thoughts, Martin babies, okay? Nobody else's, okay? In the Western world, like, we do not have what you call dusty roads. No, because they're tarmacking, Martin babies, okay? Which means covering up the roots, very sadly, there we are, of trees. And do you understand what I mean? And that's why you see over the years with the tarmac that they, because the beautiful roots from the trees, they've been there for decades and decades. I absolutely adore nature. They're so beautiful. That they try to break free from this tarmac. Do you understand what I mean, Martin babies? Yes. Okay. Whereas if you look at another country that doesn't have, tarmac or anything like this now, then for roads, so it's just a dusty road, isn't it, Martin babies? But when you actually look at it, I've always said that we are for years and years and years and years. There we are. Okay, my room's warm, and yes, I've gone all cold across my shoulders. That's why I do what I do there. Okay, Martin babies. Well, the fact of the matter is, you can make, there we are, your like little village or, your part of the world very beautiful. There we are. Do you see what I mean, Martin babies? And I truly, there we are, believe in that. I mean, there was a part on this video where there was a woman, and she was explaining that she was allowed to go into somebody's home, and I don't think it could have been a relative, and just show what that home was like. Well, at the end of the day, that's the way I see it, is Martin babies. It's their, there we are, it's their home, isn't it? So, that's back in Somalia, and there we are, and that is their home. Like they had a beautiful cow, because I love beautiful animals. They had a beautiful cow, came out to have some water, and things like this now then, which of course in our Western world, you do not see, you know, animals walking in the middle of the road, usually as a rule. Anyway, mad delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So, you know, our countries are very different to other countries. Do you see what I mean? Mad delicious little babies. Anyway, there was also another part where this one younger woman, Lassa, where she turned around and said she understands fraud, but a Somali young woman, but she didn't want to speak anymore. Do you know what I mean? And what is it? Some would say she's slipped up or something. I mean, shall we say, a mad delicious little baby's kind, but doesn't fraud go on everywhere in the world, mad delicious little babies? Not just in one, part of the world. It goes on. There we are, everywhere. Do you see what I mean? It's like our taxis. There we are. That's fraudulent, isn't it? Mad delicious little baby's cake, because it's not true. Like if you get a mafia, say decades and decades ago, okay, because this has gone on a long time, and they say, okay, really, you shouldn't even have to do that, but that's all besides the point. Let me get back to the matter in hand. The point is, so if a mafia says, okay, if you pay me ching, 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 pound, shilling, pence, dollars and change, I'll protect your shop or your property or whatever it is. Again, if you go back, okay, forget about what history says, okay? Let's look, there we are, at another angle here, okay? You have ones, there we are, what you would call honour their word, okay, which is something that seems to have gone completely out the window, my delicious little babies, okay, in years after. But the fact of the matter is, okay, there we are, it meant something then, okay, and everybody had there we are, shall we say, an understanding. This is just ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense. I haven't heard anything to say all of this now. I'm just saying that that's how it used to be, okay? But what we're dealing with, my delicious babies, okay, is a mafia who wants to take and take and take, because that's who I believe is, there we are, running the world, my delicious babies. So they want to take and take and take, okay, not give anything back, okay, and still destroy us in the world. There we are. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? So call me illiterate, I do not believe I am. But I would certainly say, there we are, that this is certainly not fair and a total, there we are, imbalance. Okay, my delicious little babies, my left eye's been jumping, little Robin's been back. I'm going to hear more bad news, I'm sure, my delicious little babies, very sadly. Anyway, so, it's worth, watching that little video, my delicious little babies, okay, just so that you can see, if nothing else, there we are, different points of view. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? That's just the way that I see it, okay? You cannot just sometimes I'll listen to a video, I'll get so far through it and I just think, you know what? Sorry, excuse me, my delicious little babies. And I just say to myself, I'll just click off it. It's not my cup of tea. Mind you, I had a good couple of cups of tea yesterday, my delicious little babies, all the tea in China. China. Okay, my delicious little babies. But if I do not like a video, I'll get so far. Doesn't mean no, just got an itch. I get so far, my delicious little babies, and then just tell myself I just don't want to listen to the shart. Okay, my delicious little babies. And it is amazing to see how many, changing subject now. So another really good video to take a look at, my delicious little babies. That's what I thought anyway. You have to really listen, there we are, very carefully. The other thing I wanted to just say, sorry, is that it's just amazing, isn't it, how much, there we are, how much the alternative media I do genuinely feel, there we are, that they're not totally, shall we say, all on the same side, my delicious little babies. Okay. And, it's like they want to keep, whether it's one party or another party, and that's just in our country, my delicious little babies, in our old England, okay? they want to keep a party going. There we are. But what is the reason behind this? Okay, I thought this. There we are for years. Well, why? I mean, it's been years since I've voted. Yes, I mean, myself too. Yeah, stumbled there. Not changing my video. I too fell into that trap, didn't I? Martylish babies, because years and years ago I thought that you just had to vote. But there were many years where I never voted. Do you understand what I mean? Martylish babies. I wasn't one of these religious, who religiously did it, like some do. But still, we're hearing, aren't we? So something I do not feel is a rocking and a rolling correctly, my delicious little babies. Okay, so we really have to look, there we are, a lot more closely. And, when I listen to, oh, bless him, not in that way, Gary with 1G, Space Waterman, on YouTube, my delicious little babies, is now up to 5.33 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. He is correct in what he says in parts of his video, my delicious little babies, which is if others are not talking about certain things now, okay, but they're only covering other things, okay, there we are, then it does have to be, there we are, questions, and I totally, there we are, agree with that. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay. So they're still keeping this going. They're really, the way I see it is, they're really, whatever change they've been paid, ka-ching, ching, ching. Well, I just feel that different uploaders, there we are, for most of them, not for all, but for most of them, please look at what you're doing. There we are, just please take a very close look at what you're doing. Because not everything is worth ka-ching, ching, ching. It's certainly not. Not when it concerns all of our lives. Okay? Because nothing will change. We all know that. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to realise that, my delicious little babies, it's all, there we are, ding, ding, dong, dong, damn well common sense. But it appears until that changes, well, you know what I mean? It's like, in other words, let me get to the point. It's like if you're going to have this sort of issue, problem, there we are, which is what I call it. It is a problem. Okay, my delicious little babies, you're just peeing against the wind, aren't you? If one's going to cover so many things now, they're not going to cover other things. Okay, so there we are. I'm just done saying it in my camera. And no, I'm pretty sure that I'm not very well liked at all. I'm not here to be liked. Believe me on that one. What I'm here for is, as my hobby, as I do say, to give out information, there we are, but also to call out, there we are, for what I believe, there we are, to be true, which is that we seem to have there we are, an awful lot of dishonest alternative media. There we are, okay, an awful lot. And I personally myself do not feel that is neither very good or very sociable for any of us, my delicious little babies, okay? So I feel that ones need to stop thinking about the ching, ching, ching and start looking at, there we are, what is really being done to us. There are uploaders, my delicious little babies, especially ones for decades, okay? Bless their lovely dear souls, not in that way, okay? Who are done telling it the way it is. And, it's all ding, ding, dong, dong common sense to get ourselves out of this situation. But again, if you're going to have, lots of the alternative media who are doing, there we are, the complete opposite, just out of ego and greed. There we are, because that's what this is. Okay, then this certainly is not helping our situation at all, my delicious little babies. Now then, the next one, my delicious little babies, this uploader happens to have 3.94 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. It's just over 10 minutes long. Well, over 10 and a half minutes long, sorry. And this uploader is called capital S, Lost, space, capital N, Nature, space, capital S, Secrets. Okay, my delicious babies, so I'll just repeat that again, with spaces, Lost, Nature, Secrets. Okay, my delicious babies, and the video should read, the sugar that heals. why don't you know about it? And it's one question mark I always put two. Okay, Mads babies, I'm just going to repeat that again for you. The sugar that heals, why don't you know about it? Okay, Mads babies. Now, this is to do with, I do believe, what's it called? Mesquite. I'll spell that for you. Mesquite. Mesquite, okay, and well, basically, you can do a lot of things with this, you know, well, the way it's come across to myself, like it's there we are, like gold dust. Okay, my delicious babies, and of course, there were jars of, something like this that were found. It goes back. Well, they always say flipping thousands of years. I personally do not believe it's all thousands. That's just my view, my delicious little babies. Others can have a different view. Okay, it's just like archaeologists. They say, oh, tens of thousands of years. I do not believe it's tens of thousands of years at all, my delicious little babies. I feel there we are. It's a strong level of, there we are, effing brainwashing. Okay, there we are. Okay, my delicious little babies, it's certainly not that long. I've come to the conclusion, I really find it hard to believe any history at all, my delicious little babies. And when I was at school, for the very few lessons that I did enjoy, I did actually used to enjoy history, you know what I mean, my delicious little babies. But when we actually look at it, we've all been bullshouted to and lied to all of our lives, there we are, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? So I find it so difficult to believe any of this bullshit, to be perfectly honest, okay? It's been completely, there we are, twisted, okay? You imagine a rope, and you've got a rope, okay? It's a really tight rope, and they just keep twisting. That's what's happened to us, my delicious little babies, okay? Not in literal terms, but you follow what I'm saying. Yes, okay, yes, please, and thank you. Now then, my delicious little babies. So, the last one. Okay, this is what I want to talk about now, and then I'm going to be over and out. Okay, my delicious little babies. So now we need to close my book. I'm just going to tell you quickly first, and then I'm going to close my book. So, this video here, my delicious little babies, is over 43 minutes long. Okay, my delicious little babies, can. And it is called capital E, the uploader experience, then space, capital J, Japan. Okay, my delicious babies, I'll just repeat that once again for you. Experience, space, Japan. Okay, that's the uploader. Okay, my delicious babies, this uploader happens to have 512,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And the thing is here is this will just be a one-off. Anyway, they're all one-offs, okay? My delicious little babies, okay? Well, not with Gary Space Waterman, because I will keep there we are, advertising dear Gary, bless him, especially as there we are, he is living in a tent at the moment, my delicious little babies, where there's for most of us, apart from our dear homeless, bless their beautiful dear little souls, not in that way, and our beautiful dear little animals, who have to sleep on the streets and in fields and wherever else, my delicious little babies. But for most of us, we're sleeping in a nice warm bed, you know what I mean, okay? Who are blessed to have the warmth of a bed. But for dear Gary, there we are, he's at the moment going through a stage where they're trying to take, there we are, everything off him. Okay, my delicious little babies. So this is very serious. There we are. This is very serious. Okay. My heart goes out to the poor man. Okay. He does not feel like he can go to meet anybody, meaning to have a conversation with about his findings and everything like this now then, because he genuinely feels he cannot trust anybody. Okay. So it's very serious, my delicious little babies, and I really strongly suggest that his numbers, please and thank you, if whatever we can do, there we are, to get his numbers up, because there we are, this is extremely important, okay? But like I said, I'll always listen to who I listen to, because I'm a grown woman, I'm a big woman, I shall listen to who I wish to listen to, okay? If I find them extremely interesting, I listen to my regular videos, okay? Of course, I will always stick to that, okay? because I do believe that there are good who are trying to do something there we are about things, okay? But of course, this does not include many, very sadly. And what a sorry state of affairs that is, okay, in itself. So I'm just going to read out to you what this video is about, okay? So it should read, staying at Japan's, wait for this, my delicious little babies. For some of you may have heard about this, me personally, I have not. Anyway, I'm going to have my point of view on this, my delicious little babies. I'm a woman with a view. Well, I shall have my effing view, okay? Staying at Japan's human washing machine hotel. Yes, my delicious little babies, you heard that right. I'll repeat again. Staying at Japan's human washing machine hotel. Yes, my delicious little babies. Now let's close my book and discuss. Need to go back. So, looking at this video, my delicious little babies, okay, there's also lots of photographs, you know, that you can take, you know, in Japan, you know, when it's not so busy, my delicious little babies. Me, myself, personally, looking at the Japan Town Centre, my delicious little babies, it's not a place where I would ever want to go. You wouldn't see myself save up to have that experience now. Not at all. Just the same as these fast trains and things like this now. It's just not my cup of coffee, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Now, of course, it's different for others, isn't it, my delicious little babies? You know, it's different for others. Gosh, these lights are so heavy, you know. It's very different for others, isn't it? Like, they want to experience it. They want to experience the Japanese food, you know. For many in the world, you know, maybe they spent, you know, rather in their earlier years, you know, not that they're old anyway, but maybe travelling abroad to Japan and Hong Kong and different places like this now then. Hong Kong, I feel, would have been a nice place to go years ago, but no, you wouldn't want to go now. Okay, Mads, that's just my thoughts anyway. And this is not impersonally against the Japanese. Of course it isn't. In fact, there we are. I feel sorry for them. Okay, there we are. I really do feel sorry for them. Okay, Mads, little babies. So this is not against the Japanese or, you know, Hong Kong or whatever. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that. Okay. But this man now then checked himself into a hotel. By the way, he did have it by reservation, he said. Okay, so he said you better to have it by, I'm pretty sure he said that, to have it by reservation. Okay, my delicious babies. And what it looks like, I'll tell you what it reminded me of. That pod in Switzerland. You know, that suicide pod. And my heart goes out to everybody who's very sadly taken their lives over decades. Okay, my delicious little babies. It reminds me of that, this large pod. The only difference with it, sorry, my delicious little babies, yeah, stumbled there, rightfully so. The only difference is they're just different colours, that's all. Smaller windows, that's all. Okay? But a pod's a pod, isn't it, my delicious little babies, whichever way you look at it? You know, some of these like to have oval pods. Some of them like to have round pods. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Heaven knows where they seem to think now, where we're living. Anyway, my delicious little babies. So he paid for this experience. Now, the hotel room itself was clean. So no problem there. It had a cooker. It had everything, actually, my delicious little babies. It's just like living home from home. Okay, my delicious little babies. So he paid for that. Of course, it would have a television, you know. You usually always find televisions in hotel rooms, don't you, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Just got to keep your eyes fixed on it. And then he thought, right, he's going to go down and experience his human washing machine experience. Okay, my delicious little babies. So he got in, you know, he's wearing, you never see his Bertrash, you only see his legs and his shorts and his hands, my delicious little babies, his arms, okay? Now, what the idea is, and he was a bit worried to get into it again, Mardlish babies, okay? I mean, it was only saying that on the writing, okay, Mardlish babies, but so he hops in it, doesn't he? But before that happens, I think it fills up a bit. You know, just like a washing machine, my delicious little babies. Do you understand what I mean? Well, not just like a washing machine. You know, you have to put your clothes in first or whatever. You know what I mean? But you know, the point is, then you got all these spray things, okay, and it washes your hair. But here's the thing with this: you do not use any shampoo. So what he said was he would have preferred to have, you know, had shampoo to wash his hair because they give you all of these things, Martin, babies. That was the funniest part. I mean, unless, you know, you could use it in your hotel room, you know, but they give you all these things, okay, Martin, babies, and you cannot take it into the human wash machine with you. So he would have preferred to have, you know, shampooed his own hair, okay? Um, there's a screen in front of him, you know, where you can see dancers and, you know, lots of different things going on. Okay, my delicious little babies. I just thought it was all rather odd. There we are, very odd. Okay, my delicious little babies. Anyway, he said that the water was nice and warm and, you know, like this now then. And he wrote something on his arm, and apparently it can get that off. And you know, he did give it a rub, and it did come off. You know, he used a pen, like felt tip pen, so most of it did come off because it's to do with these little bubbles or something, okay? Uh, but his overall experience, he thought, you know, it was a nice experience and should recommend it. What's my thoughts on this, my delicious little babies, okay? Because the rest of the video was to do with that. Then he went out for something to eat, you know, and they all sort of sit there in this particular place, in these little like cubicles, okay? I was watching it and I thought that looks extremely isolating, very isolating. You know what I mean? You just sat there on your own. Okay, my delicious little babies. I just thought, again, very, very odd, like you're detached from the rest of the world. Do you understand what I mean? It's very odd to me. We are very odd indeed. That's the way that I see it anyway. Others may see different things there. But for myself, you know, I like to give a view on my opinion on what I saw and what I read. And to be honest, I personally wouldn't have seen that as a very good experience, especially if you're with your little, I don't know, for some with their little families or something. You know what I mean? Okay, and you're all sat in individual cubicles. Flipping odd. And then they just lift up this little bit of bamboo, whatever it is, you know what I mean, one of these little roly bloody things. And then you just tick your order. It to me, it doesn't feel that we are natural. That's the words I'm looking for. It's just not natural. Okay? If you look over, you know, decades and everything, if ones go out, say as a family or friends or work colleagues, you know, you usually sit at a table or something, have a good old chinwag, good old natter, you know, a few drinky poos, you know, a few beverages and, you know, a bite to eat, you know, and then you're super duper deliriously happy because you're in others' companies. But when you're like that, you're very much, I feel, cut off. So there's probably talking in the background and everything like that, but you're cut off. You know, just a figure of speech, Mads, babies. You're cut off from the rest anyway. So he was also explaining. So he said that the meal was very delicious. Then he was explaining that there's a lot of arcades there. You know, there's no shortage on food. You know, there's plenty of you know, restaurants, takeaways, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Okay. But getting back to this human washing machine, what about Mads Lichtlich babies? Just like that's very sadly that suicide pod in Switzerland, Mads Lichtlich babies, okay? What about if it or what do you call it, malfunctioned or misfunction, whatever you call it, with whatever words these are, Mads delicious little babies, you know what I mean? I mean, with that poor dear lady in that pod, something seriously went wrong. Okay, Marzlichtig babies. So what about if with this human washing machine, there we are, then the same thing could happen? I mean, who's to say that it couldn't overfill with water? And if you've got no way of getting out, I'm not just looking at this from a negative point of view. I'm looking at it as with any technology, okay, or any atoms that have been built, that at the end of the day, Marzlichtig babies, okay, something serious could happen. Now, one of the staff brought him to this human washing machine, whatever you call it, capsule, whatever it's bloody called. I'll call it bloody pod thing, right? Brought him there, but then they go. Do you see what I mean? I personally, myself, would not feel happy doing that. And anyway, why would myself or yourselves, Marzlichtig babies? Well, I do not know what your thoughts are, Marzlichtig babies. I'm pretty sure it's the same thoughts as what my thoughts are, Marzlichtig babies, with our noddles. Is that why do we want to get into a human washing machine? And why should we have to pay, there we are, through the nurse, there we are, for this experience? This is the questions that I'm asking my Marzlichtig babies. Now then, you probably have some who's got a lot of ka-ching, ching, 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 to go and say, oh, I'm going to go and experience that, to have water sprayed either side of you, and to sit in warm water and to look at a television, which is showing you dancing, showing you, a little bit of nature, showing you. Do you understand what I'm saying, Marzlichtig babies? I just thought the whole experience, I just thought was extremely oddball. There we are. Okay, Marzlichtig babies. So whoever's inventing these things now, they've clearly got more ching 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 than common sense, Marzlichtig babies. Me for one, whilst watching this, did not feel at any time that I wanted to ever step into such a piece of machinery. Okay, Marzlichtig babies, and be treated like a human, piece of clothing, Marzlichtig babies. Do you understand what I mean? Because what do you put into washing machines? You put clothes in washing machines. Well, in my case, I put flip-flops and everything in, trainers and everything, Marzlichtig babies, guy. But the point is, you put, I don't know, some put rugs in, coats, duvets. Well, I do all that, duvets and the covers and everything. Do you understand what I mean, Marzlichtig babies? But the point is, I do not feel a need to travel to Japan to get into a human washing machine, Marzlichtig babies. Do you understand what I mean? What's wrong with a bit of soap and water and hopping in the bath or hopping in the shower? I do not give a damn if it's, this only machine in the world. I really couldn't give a fiddler's F. It's not my cup of coffee at all, Marzlichtig babies. But please, if anybody happens to have any form of an interest, and I know I keep rambling on, but to myself, I see that there we are, that could malfunction. There we are. And what would happen then? Okay, it didn't take long for that poor dear lady with the suicide pod, did it, Marzlichtig babies? Do you know what I mean? Well, the same could happen there, and there was nobody to help her either. Do you see what I'm saying, Marzlichtig babies? So as much as these so-called inventions look all, there we are, glorious to the world, no. I do not see this has been a good thing at all. And why would they want to invent such a thing? A human washing machine? We are not human anyway. We are mankind. Okay, Marzlichtig babies is what they have named us. They have named us human. Okay, we are mankind. Because generally speaking, for most, there we are, a mankind. Do you see what I mean, Marzlichtig babies? Okay. So I would certainly take a little look, but no, Japan's certainly not my place I'd ever want to go anyway. Marzlichtig babies. There's not really, I could honestly say, on one hand, many places where I personally would want to go. I know where I do want to go, but you're probably looking at just a couple of places. Okay, Marzlichtig babies, no more than that. but certainly not Japan being on my list. Okay, Mads Little Babies. Not only that, one more thing I want to mention, and that's got nothing to do, with Japan, the Japanese. Sorry, Mads Little Babies. Okay, I never needed to stumble out. Nothing to do with the Japanese, bless them. Okay, because they're suffering. There we are, an awful lot of there we are depression as it is. Okay, bless them. Okay, and there's an awful lot of suicides in Japan as well. There we are, an awful lot of suicides. There's actually a place called, not, I'm not meaning to depress you or anything, Mads Little Babies. I remember mentioning this years ago on one of my videos. There is a forest. I'm not sure. Is it in? I don't think it's in China. I think it could be in Japan, and it's a forest. And oh dear, all those poor dear beautiful souls. Not in that way. Not in that way. Who went in this forest. Oh, imagine all those beautiful, dear little souls, just to have their souls freed. There we are. Do you know what I mean, Mads, little babies? It's so very, very, very sad, okay? But this hotel, Mads, little babies, okay, used to be apartments, okay? But when you actually see how small they are, there we are. They are rather small, but in Japan, they are rather small, Mads, little babies. Anyway, I've talked about this on and off for months and months and months and months. But when you look outside, whether it's front or back, what do you see? All that you see are buildings. That's all you see. Tall, massive buildings. So there's no trees from what I could see anyway. No trees, no nothing. It's just buildings. Well, is that supposed to be a nice experience to go to Japan and just look at buildings? If I want to go and look at buildings, Mads, little babies, okay, I can look outside my flipping front and back, but at least I've got a front and back garden. At least I've got a road. At least I've got, do you know what I mean? I mean, there's a road in Japan, obviously, but I don't know. I just never liked the energy of it, not one bit. Okay, Mads, little babies. And, if I wanted to go and look at massive, hideous buildings, well, I've only got to go to our Brummie town centre. Ones only have to type in, Birmingham in the 1970s in England. You just see the difference. There we are. You just see what they've done to it. It's disgusting, man. Flipping hate going in there into a Brummie town centre. I cannot bear it. I despise it. You know what I mean, Mads, little baby. So, the fact of the matter is, no, it's not for myself, but for, somebody else, they may look at this video and say to themselves, oh, that would be an experience. Well, no, thank you. I do not want to be treated like a human, what they called us, which I call mankind, but we're talking about the video. I do not want to be classed as a human washing machine. And if you look at it, really, there we are. Who's to say that this is just not, there we are, an ongoing, there we are, experiment? Okay, Mads, little babies, we have to look at that as well, Mads, little babies. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. Okay. Oh, there is one last thing I want to say. Okay. So I was listening to oh gosh, our lovely Trending on Iconic yesterday on YouTube. Okay, it's also under our lovely, not in that way with anybody, our lovely davidark.com. And this is to do with this man. Was it back in 2000? Was it back in 2022 or 2023? Richard was talking about this on the video, Mads, little babies, yesterday. Forgot to mention. No, because I didn't do a video yesterday, did I? No, I didn't. Or did I? Yes, I did. I did, but I forgot to mention it yesterday. Sorry, do forgive me. Yeah, this man, he's got into a lot of trouble because this poor woman passed away. And anyway, what this is all to do with, Mads, little babies, it's all to do with these smart roads and anyway, and to do with, I think it's to do with the car and everything as well. Now, the point is, Mads, little babies, you need to listen to the video, Mads, little babies. I think they're up to 13 or 14,000 subscribers now, Mads, little babies, on YouTube, Trending on Iconic. what's the point that I'm making, right? I've been talking about that we are Lego electric cars for how long? Okay, Marzlichtig babies, okay. And by the way, these smart roads, there's nothing smart about. There's nothing smart about anything that's called smart. Okay, Marzlichtig babies, nothing at all. Okay. And anybody who wears these silly watches, well, they need, there we are, a checkup from the neck up, and I do not give a damn who they are. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, man-made time, and at least if you're going to wear a watch, please, I beg you the Lord of mercy, wear a decent real watch, not this crap, okay, that they seem to make a lot of ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching out of, okay, because it's certainly not helping our situation at all, especially when they're walking 10,000 steps a day. What happened before they had this silly piece of junk? Do you know what I mean? Marzlichtig babies, they never counted the steps, did they? Well, unless they've got a bit of OCD or something, you know what I mean? Marzlichtig babies, I'm not taking mickey out of anybody with OCD, I'm just saying. But the point is, Marzlichtig babies, is this, okay? It's like these driverless Lego electric cars, okay? I, for one, would never get in to one of these cars. I do not give a damn how safe somebody would tell me that it is. No, the answer is no. Okay, Marzlichtig babies. Now, I've seen, which I was watching on BitChute for years. There we are. Okay, Marzlichtig babies. Lots of accidents, okay? These cars just stop. We don't like that word. We seem to hear rather a lot of it, but stop dead. In the middle of the road. This could be a motorway, Marzlichtig babies, or anything. It just stops dead, okay? This is extremely serious. Okay, Marzlichtig babies, okay? And of course, so of course, in this particular case, what Richard was talking about, bless, is the fact that, well, we're looking at two different sets of families, aren't we? Because, yes, rightfully so, Richard said that, for this poor man, because it was a genuine accident, and, whatever this man thought, the vehicle he was in or the smart road, whatever it was, he certainly would not have killed this poor woman on purpose, okay? So for that, he would be living with that. So I totally agree with Richard, because of course you would feel guilt, wouldn't you? Do you understand what I mean, okay? Even though this was a genuine accident. So there's that side of the family that you would feel sorry for. On one hand, with one family, and then on the other hand, is that dear woman there now who passed away. Well, it affects her family as well. So overall, it's a very sad situation. What's my answer to this, Marzlichtig babies? Now, I do not want to sound like a complete... Well, actually, who gives a figler's F anyway? If I sound like a bitch and I sound like a bitch, there we are. I'm just done saying this now. We get back to it again, okay? There's too many, okay, Marzlichtig babies, who do not look into these new technologies, these new cars, these new, well, everything to do with them. They do not do their research, okay? And even if they do a tiny bit, they do not do enough, okay? For 9 times out of 10, they do not do any at all, okay? Marzlichtig babies, I've spoke to ones with Lego electric cars, okay? And they just do not want to accept that, petrol and diesel, there we are, is the way to go. Okay, but because this is a level of brainwashing, it's the level of, oh, well, I've got a brand spanking new car, shiny, shiny, shiny. Do you know what I mean? Marzlichtig babies, okay? Not seeing, just like when they said, oh, you don't have to pay tax on these Lego electric cars. Okay, Marzlichtig babies, then they got a right flipping, it's like being slapped up the bird trace with a soggy fish, the poor little fish. But anyway, just a figure of speech, Marzlichtig babies, okay, when they found out that they've got to pay tax. So do you see what I'm saying, Marzlichtig babies? There's just a lack, from what I can see, Marzlichtig babies, from what I can see and from what I can hear, of damn well common sense. Do you see what I mean? Okay, if this car's meant to turn left or it's meant to turn right, whatever the case may be, okay, and these smart roads, I'll get back to it again, there's nothing smart about them at all, okay, but I'm talking about Lego electric cars at the moment, Marzlichtig babies, okay? So if a driverless car and it says, oh, it's going to turn left or it's going to turn right or they can see an oncoming danger, okay, is it going to swerve out the way? Is it going to, do you understand what I mean? Okay, I watched a video, when was it? a few week ago on YouTube, Marzlish Babies. Now, this man is no longer alive because he bought one of these Lego electric cars, Marzlish Babies. This is what he did. He bought one of these Lego electric cars, okay, and he's like one of these where he, I think that was driverless, okay. But he was like convinced, oh, it's a wonderful car. There we are. You usually hear these tarps say this, Marzlish Babies, okay, not knowing anything, knowing jack sharp, do you know what I mean, Marzlish Babies. But on this particular occasion, there's a great big massive flipping lorry, blue and white, okay, which just stayed in that part of the motorway. And his car, this man here now, who I'm talking about, where it should have spotted danger or sensed it, with these sensors and everything, right? No, it didn't. It went straight into this flipping lorry. And he's no longer alive. His YouTube videos are still up. Okay? But, yeah. So, do you see what I mean, Marzlish Babies? I just feel that anybody who wants to get into a vehicle that's driverless, again, I believe, there we are, needs a checkup from the neck up. There we are, simple things. That's what they need. They're certainly not ratting the noddle, in my view, okay, because they're too busy listening, okay. They've usually got a lot of ching, ching, ching for most, okay, got nothing better to spend the change on. Why don't they just go and get a beautiful old classic car, okay, Marzlish Babies, instead of this shat? There we are, because that's what it is, it's shat. And the sensors go wrong and other things go wrong, Marzlish Babies. And how many, including myself, because I've had cars with electric windows, flipping worst thing you could ever do. Bring back the old flipping Escorts or the flipping Capris or the flipping, you know what I mean? Bring back the older cars, Marzlish Babies. You know what I'm saying? Yes? But the point is, Marzlish Babies, is this: when the sensors go wrong, there we are, well, they flipping go wrong, don't they? And you could find yourself, for somebody, who drives one of these, well, they call it driving not, okay, in a very serious situation. And most probably not even coming out alive. And not only that, but what about these ones with the handles where you cannot, they're looking into that, apparently, Marzlish Babies. Like where once you're in it, you cannot get out. And of course, with these Lego electric cars as well, they were blowing up all over the place. I was watching years ago on a BitChute, Marzlish Babies. Do you understand what I mean? And the thing is, if you cannot get out of that vehicle, you cannot get out. That car, sorry. Do you know what I mean, Marzlish Babies? It's very serious. This is not good for mankind at all. But you try talking to some mankind, they're not listening. Do you know what I mean? So what is it? Old-fashioned Jamaican saying is stick his brook in your ear and you don't take heed. You're going to get, there we are, what the duck gives you. And unfortunately for these who make these silly mistakes of buying these pieces of junk, in my view, Marzlish Babies, well, you get what the duck give you, isn't it? And it sounds like I'm being a bitch. So what? You'd have to be absolutely, completely off your flipping noddle and rocker to ever go and buy anything like that. It's mental, in my view, Marzlish Babies, and that's how I'm going to leave it. But with any accident, especially these newer cars, you know what I mean? With any accident, okay, well, ones could sit there and say, well, like I've just said, it's sad for both families, okay, but if we look at it a different way, to do with smart roads and to do with cars or whatever else, okay, the fact of the matter is, if they never bought one of these damn well flipping Lego electric bloody damn cars in the first place, well, it certainly wouldn't be a problem, would it? And for ones who very sadly passed away, well, the fact of the matter is they'd still be here to die. It's all ding, ding, dong, dong. There we are. Common sense, isn't it? And that's another thing, Marzlish Babies, just before I go. You're not hearing about a third of car crashes now. I'm not too sure about motorways and that. Most would say that the motorway is the safest, or I hate driving on the motorway. Do you know what I mean, Marzlish Babies? I hate flipping being sandwiched in between two lorries. Oh, that's even worse for me, Marzlish Babies. I really just do not like it. It's like being really claustrophobic, like in between two lorries. Oh, anyway. Thank goodness I do not drive at the moment, Mads Lishlik babies, okay? But yeah, but that's all I got to say, Mads Lishlik babies. So if I sound like a bitch, I sound like a bitch. But the simple thing is, for these, do the damn research, understand, there we are, the seriousness of owning a car such as one of those, okay? Because it's only a matter of time. I wouldn't want to live next to, I've said this time and time again, I wouldn't want to live next to anybody who has one of these electric, for the Lego electric car, electric points. No, 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 no. Because really that could go up, there we are, at any time. And what's even worse, you cannot put the fire out. Because of the battery, you cannot put the fire out. Okay, Mads, babies, why do you think that in China you got thousands and thousands of these Lego electric cars? There we are, piling up. There we are. Do you see what I mean, Mads, babies? I just do not know. But it seems that we have a certain mentality with some mankind, Mads, babies, where they seem to have a rather big fat ego. Okay, they got more kaching than common sense, and they clearly do no research. So what else can we say? Some mothers do have them, unfortunately. Anyway, Mads, Lishlik babies, so wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves, your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected, and how I love you so. And we could, finally say, going back to Richard, bless him, on Trending on Iconic yesterday, we could go back to saying, okay, well, if it wasn't that man who, to do the accident there, to do with that dear woman, well, it would be somebody else. We could say that as well, Mads Lishtik babies, but maybe her life would have been spared, there we are, for longer. Do you see what I mean, Mads Lishtik babies, okay? But as I've always said, okay, call me whatever ones want to call, but I just feel that if death really wants to chase you, I do not like that word, we seem to hear a lot of it of late, very sadly. If death wants to chase you, it's a bit like that film, isn't it? Final Destination. It's a bit like that. For some, bless them, there we are, death chases them. For some, there we are, for some reason. What that reason is, I'm sure that we will not find out in the near future anyway, but there we are. But I'm a firm believer in that. There we are. I really, really am, Okay. And some would just say, oh, what's you rambling on about now, the mad cow? Do you understand? No, 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 no. I look at things from, there we are, a different point of view. I'm not a negative woman. It's just that you have to look at the pattern. Sometimes the things, okay, Mads, baby, so you just please take care of yourselves now, and please try to take care of others, and how I love you also. I'm not here to depress you, Mads, babies, or upset anybody in any way, no. But a lot of this, there we are, is common sense. You wouldn't buy a car if it never had a handbrake. Okay, because you've got the brake with the foot pedal, haven't you? Then you've got the handbrakes. So in other words, the handbrake, sorry. So that is added, okay? I never need to stumble there because it's added protection, isn't it? Okay, so if I went to go and view a car, say for example, just a mere example, and there's no handbrake, I'd say to myself, well, why isn't there a handbrake? It's like you got these modern cars, haven't you, Mads? But you just push a button. No, 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 no. I don't trust any of that. And really, anybody with a noddle, okay, so that's not been insulting or patronising, right? They shouldn't trust it either. And if everybody was to go that way, thinking, do you know what I mean? Tunnel thought, shall we say, Mads babies, okay? They wouldn't be able to sell this junk. Do you know what I mean? It'd be gone, there we are, it'd be gone tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? It's only because you've got flipping some Egypts out there. There we are. Like I said, some mothers do have them. Who buy this crap? It's back to it again, isn't it? And I'm pretty sure we're going to hear, there we are, many more accidents, very sadly. Anyway, Martin, little babies. So you just look after now. How I love you so. Please take care of yourselves. Please try to take care of others, okay? May you be fully protected, and how I love you also. And thank you so very much for any views, for any likes, and for the occasional comments, okay? You just take care. Until my next video, have a beautiful day, morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Love ya. Goodbye.